I say whoever's got WSOP Gold should be on the team.
He should.
It's the Poker News Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special episode of the Poker News Podcast, episode 939. I am Chad Holloway, joined by Mike Holtz and Ben Ludlow in Las Vegas. Gentlemen, the 2026 World Series of Poker schedule has dropped. Are you excited?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. No, I legitimately, yeah. I actually, when I was reading it, I was like,
it is pretty good. Yeah, it is early morning as we're recording this, but the schedule is out. 100 bracelet events, which we knew. It's going to run May 26th, which is a Tuesday, through Wednesday, July 25th. And they're saying that because, as we'll get into, there's a WSOP circuit right after. We'll get into that, but kind of the last summer events will be on July 15th, but as I said, there's going to be a circuit. So more on that in a little bit, but let's talk about the lead up to the schedule drop, right? Because this has become a yearly tradition where people are really looking forward to the schedule release. People are always asking Kev Math on social media, when's it going to be? Look, it's either going to be mid-February, which it is now, or late February. That's the window when it's coming out. But I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you think that's a good time? Is it too early, too late, or just the right spot?
I mean, I'm single, so Valentine's Day, my date is the World Series of Poker schedule every year. So that's
terrible.
Fuck.
There's a really bad date.
Oh god.
I think it's good timing. Maybe earlier is better, but pretty solid timing. I think it gives everyone plenty of time to plan, and generally everyone kind of knows the timeline. You know, late May to July. So I think good timing, and schedule looks pretty cool this year. Some new tournaments.
What did you think about GG Poker? Of course, they own the WSOP now. They had a tweet that said, "Be ready February 13th," even though the schedule didn't drop to the 16th. So it was like the teaser.
It was an announcement to the announcement. To the announcement.
Yeah, because what happened on February 13th was then actually a little video with the teaser for the teaser involving our good friend Jeff Platt and Daniel Negreanu. We actually have that video to show. Check it out.
Daniel, hey man, real quick. Sorry to interrupt the golf.
How the hell did you even get in here?
Let's not worry about that. Listen, man, big news. You have the honor of announcing the 2026 World Series of Poker schedule release.
That's cool. Okay, when you want to do it?
It is cool. It's a big deal. I kind of want to do it right here, right now.
You want to do it right now?
Yeah. You ready for it?
Sure.
Okay,
what do you got?
Here it is. Let's do it.
Okay,
it's
so
all you.
What is this here? So this is the announcement for the announcement?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's a big deal. What an honor for you to make this announcement.
Okay,
right into this camera.
Okay. Schedule releases on Monday.
Yes.
Now watch me chip this in.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good. Watch the paper, though.
It's fine.
There you have it, gentlemen. What do you think of the teaser for the teaser? At this point, I'm kind of used to it. I know what to expect, but I could imagine if some people were like, "Oh, we're getting the schedule today," that they're a little disappointed they had to wait through the weekend.
I think next year they should do like 7 announcements. Like, guys, we have a big announcement coming, and then the announcement is, guys, it's coming. I swear.
I think day one it should just be like a blacked out picture, and then day 2 it just slowly reveals more of Jeff Platt's naked body covered in oil. But it's written. The schedule is like the new events are written on his body in different ways. It's like provocative. You know what I mean? You don't actually see any naked, but everything's covered. But it's like it's provocative. Maybe that's what I would do if I were them. I don't know.
It's like in Memento when the guy has all the tattoos on him that show that what's going on. It's like each event is just Jeff Platt's ripped ass back.
What is this? It's just a picture of Jeff Platt says "Don't trust him" or something. Whatever. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, don't trust Jeff.
We do have some clips with Jeff coming up this episode. He was in studio and we did talk a little bit about the World Series of Poker, so we'll share those in a minute. So this is the 57th edition of the World Series of Poker. It started back in 1970. 100 bracelet events, which I think is great. Like a lot of people have talked Phil Hellmuth about that kind of being a magic number, if you will. So really happy with that. But a big piece of news that came out in the press release that accompanied the schedule was that there will be a free daily live stream every single day from the start of the WSOP up until the main event, which is pretty exciting. So I'm assuming, because we don't have a lot of details on the main event, as we're going to talk about in a little bit, so I'll save that for that. But the fact that a lot of the coverage is not going to be behind a paywall anymore, that it's going to be free, it's going to be widely available on YouTube, I mean, that to me, says nothing but good news for poker. Do you guys agree?
It's a game changer. I think more access to what makes poker great, the good events. You know, the World Series of Poker is obviously the most sought after tournament of the year. It's the one where, or tournament series of the year. It's the one where everyone is looking forward to it. And people have FOMO. People have fear of missing out. You know, when they're at home, they want to see what's going on. So having a thing every day where you can see for free what's going on, daily updates, that's huge. You're going to get more people who go, shit, I got to get out there. You know, it's going to be early June. People are going to be seeing, they're like, I'm booking my flight for the main.
Yeah.
So I think really good.
I also think, you know, in the past, even in like past like 5 to 10 years when, you know, we kind of were post the ESPN era, I had a lot of friends who, I don't like, maybe poker adjacent or just fans of, you know, people within poker who want to be involved or want to like keep an eye on it. And it's always been tough to be like, oh yeah, you know, this stud final table's on PokerGo. Don't worry, just pay $100 and like you can get access. Which like, you know, some people did, and then it creates some fans. And all love to PokerGo. I totally, you need to have a paywall. I understand, to make that company work, but like, you know, this is just going to allow more people to see things and more people to kind of follow along with players. And like, I can say, oh look, you know, we're deep in this event, or I'm commentating this event, and someone can throw it up on YouTube, and then it's much easier. So I just think for the casual fan or the person who maybe grew up watching some poker or liked it, now they have more access and they don't have to, you know, pay the $100, like, which is a deal breaker for 85% of people who aren't gonna, you know, who aren't watching it every day, who aren't in the game.
I think it's going to be a game changer, as Mike said, in terms of, I mean, how many, if they're doing a daily live stream, it's not going to be all final tables, and I'm sure they're going to jump around. So let's say, I don't know, 50 people get on the live stream every single day, right? Players that are featured, that bust, et cetera, et cetera. Each of them is calling their friends and family back home who probably prior didn't have a subscription to watch live streams on PokerGo, but now will easily log on to YouTube and start sharing that. I just think the game is going to be exposed to so many more people, not just the hardcore poker fans, but the recreational players and their friends and family as well.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube is king anyway, so it's like, you know, I'm sure they've got big distribution plans for the main, and there's going to be edited versions, and we're going to see it on TV or somewhere, but like, this is what's going to bring more eyes to it kind of in the day-to-day and hype it up more than, you know, it's just like the days of, oh, we're waiting for the edited episode to come out, and like, that's what I'm setting my TiVo for that, like, that's over, right? Like, today is all about, what do you got for me, what's live, what's going on right now. So yeah, the more people that can watch in real time, the better. You know, I remember in like 2013 or 14 staying up and watching ESPN until 5 a.m. when the main was just live streamed on ESPN or ESPN2, which was crazy. Obviously, that's not like feasible anymore, but this is
it's like Jesse Sylvia playing heads up against that one kid.
Yeah, they played three-handed for like 18 hours or something.
Jake
I'm just like,
Singer and who won that one?
Greggy.
Greggy.
So anyway, but yeah, it's you got to be live. You got to have access to everyone to watch stuff live. So this is.
Well, here's what I'll say about what I think WSOP did this year, and what I think is really intelligent and a super good decision, and also really good clues to the future, right? Is that they're clearly trying to get more people in at the beginning. We started with the Mystery Millions last year for $1,000, which is a great price point. Let's not get it twisted. But this year we start with the Mini Mystery Millions for $550. That difference between $550 and $1,000 is massive as far as recreational players from all around the country. So now you're going to get players from all around the country who can much more easily afford it. And I know as someone who in 2015 or 14, I can't remember, I came out here and played the Colossus for $500.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have done that if it was $1,000 tournament. I could not have afforded that at the time. Barely could have afforded the 500. So you're going to get a bunch more people coming out for that. And then on top of that, because of how many people are going to be in that tournament, I mean, that tournament's going to get 30,000 runners, something like that. Yeah. Maybe more. I don't know. 25,000 plus, I would assume. I think you're going to get people who make a bunch of money in that tournament, and then they parlay that into, we're going to get to see new success stories from 21, 22-year-olds, new people popping in the industry. You're going to see people having large scores at the beginning and just being able to carry it through and really build, and we're going to get more people in general. So I think keeping that and then building it up, because a lot of times we get that the little stagnant area where there might be too high price points and people just like, okay, it's time to leave or go play off property. So I think WSOP did an excellent job this year of deciding to change that.
I'm glad you mentioned the things that can happen early in the series and then stick through as like a theme throughout, because one of the things we talked about with Jeff Platt was the storytelling approach that they are going to have this year, more player-focused storytelling that follows these themes throughout, right? Like Player of the Year is the most obvious one. You can find it and kind of track that throughout, but they want to find these players who have success early, follow that through, and then of course, as we mentioned, the free YouTube live stream. These are a couple things we talked about with Jeff Platt, and I thought it would be fun to share a little clip of that conversation. Check it out. One of the things I want to ask you about, you mentioned like the live experience. One thing that I know, and I think I speak for a lot of poker players out there, when we fell in love with the WSOP during the kind of poker boom era, is we felt more of a connection with the players because we got to know them personally, or you would see vignettes with them at their homes or things like that. And I know sometimes the logistics and the budgets don't always work that way, but I do think that there's a better way to try to get to know these players a little bit more.
That's why I love the November 9.
But that was kind of where I was going with this, is not necessarily is there going to be a return of the November 9, but one of the good things about that, at least from a media perspective, that gave us an opportunity to get into the lives of these players. I could have them in the studio in between and things like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's got to be a better balance, if you will, in that regard.
Yes. I think there are two sections of the WSOP to focus on as far as that is concerned. One is all of the events leading up to the main, and then of course separately is the main. Let's talk about the former first. And all of the events leading up to the main, I think in the past it's been very easy to fall into the trap. You said this at the beginning of, this is how we always do it. We show this final table, boom, that's over. Then we show this final table, boom, that's over. Now we're going to try to connect everything, mainly because Spunky's head of production wants to focus on storylines that are connected throughout the entire World Series of Poker. Right. Because if you just focus on one certain final table or tournament, that storyline could be great, could be amazing. Yeah. You're going to lose it in a day, and we're all on to the next thing. So imagine the big picture storylines like Player of the Year race, but you also had 10 other storylines. Yeah. And so that's something that we really want to develop. That's going to be a goal of the live stream, of the pregame show, of social media. It's all going to try to connect and revolve around these storylines. I wouldn't say create them, but just showcase them to viewers. Then the main event. We all know that the best chance that poker has to reach out to a more casual audience, even an audience who doesn't know anything about poker, is the distribution of the main event. They have really big plans in place for that distribution. Hopefully, those will come into fruition, be finalized. You guys will hear about them soon enough.
It's going to be on NBC after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the post-Super Bowl slot, actually. That would be amazing. Yeah. But to your point, I think you will have now more time to dive into the stories that the main event is able to create, final table included.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea.
Yeah, and I think the morning show and kind of like that sort of cornerstone of here's everything that's happening helps that a lot. So,
That can be a combination of that and then setting the stage for that live stream that you're about to see. And the live stream is not going to just be a final table. Sure, the final table is going to be a featured element of it, but with the stage set up and you could have 3 different tournaments going on here with a cluster in the middle here to keep an eye on the Negreanus and Helmies of the world. It's going to be a very innovative experience that I think our viewers are going to fall in love with.
Good.
Yeah. All right, thank you to Jeff Platt for chatting with us. I have another clip coming up with him on a different topic. But Mike, you mentioned the mini Mystery Millions kind of kicking off the 2026 WSOP event number 1 on the schedule, which is great. Kind of sad that the employees event or the industry event now isn't the number 1 on the schedule. It's actually number 3 and starting on the second day, but that one's obviously near and dear to my heart. But there are a handful of new events this summer. Mini Mystery Millions, of course. There's a GG Millions High Roller 3-day event number 11 on the schedule, a 10K buy-in. This is kind of a prestigious event online on GG Poker, right? GG Millions every week. And now they're kind of bringing a high roller to the live realm. I think this one will be really popular with the Daniel Negreanus and people who even want to take a shot for 10K.
The GG Millions is a good brand, and obviously I think they're going to probably find ways. They had a GG Millions 25K in the Bahamas. Just like making that more of a piece of kind of all these series and having a little bit more of like a here's our our prestige high roller event that we have at every series. Maybe you start seeing like the GG Millions high roller at the circuit or something that's going to like keep that brand as like something that's a theme throughout the year in line and online events. Maybe you have a dual leaderboard. I don't know, but that's cool. And I think at the beginning, like they've always done, same as last year, they've got a 5K PLO and a 5K no limit to start out, which are always kind of like two of the, for the pros, that's like, okay, we're starting 2 big 5Ks to start. Like, let's get it going. Those are always huge. I mean, I think the 10K is just a continuation of that and kind of like keeps it going. And you're going to see all the regs and all the heroes out for those first 3 events. So yeah, that's, more good.
Yeah. You mentioned the circuit. Another new event on the schedule is event number 16, the 3-day U.S. Circuit Championship. It says a $1,700 buy-in event following the success of WSOP Paradise. So I don't know the exact details. This might be a good one to get TJ Reed, who is going to be heading up the WSOP circuit, in on an episode in the future. But sounds like, the circuit grinders are going to have their own championship event taking place at the WSOP during the summer.
Yeah, well, it's open to all players too, so it's not invitational. I'm not 100% sure. Now, do we still have the mid-stakes championship?
Yep, that's still on the schedule.
That's great.
Yeah. I mean, I think we talked about it, and I won't spoil our too much of our conversation with Jeff, but like, we talked about the need for, there's plenty, like the World Series always does a great job of really low buy-in stuff, in that kind of 400 to 1,000 range. They've always got the deep stacks and whatever, the 800s. Now they've got the 550 Mystery Millions. They always do a really good job of the big stuff, 10K everything, 10K championship events. But I think they've really, focused on beefing up that mid stakes, which is, kind of the world that Mike and I and a lot of our, peers live in. So anything more in that range and that kind of like under 10K, over 1K is great.
There's a new event on the schedule, event number 53, $1,500 5-card PLO event on June 18th. So this one's interesting because it's not Big O. Big O is a 5-card PLO variant, right? But there's a high-low version. This is just 5-card PLO high. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I think, and again, one of the other new events too is the PLO dealer's
pick
choice,
your PLO.
Where it's pick your PLO. So, as opposed to they've had plenty of forced rotation PLO where it's like, the mixed 08 event where you're playing PLO 8, Big O, and then just regular limit 08. But I mean, more dealer's choice things I think are great. I think that's my favorite event of the year because it's only happens, once or twice a year kind of thing. So anything more like that. And I think it's just showing that PLO within our game is the thing that's growing the most. So there's a huge community and economy of 5-card PLO games in Florida and Texas and even here in Vegas.
Pick Your PLO is a $1,500 buy-in, event number 91 on the schedule, July 9th. Dealer's choice format between PLO, PLO 8, 5-card PLO high, and Big O. Mike, what's your preference of those 4 games?
Maybe PLO 8, actually. Not PLO. I like it all. Oh, double board? Oh, no. Yeah, 5-card. So it's 5-card PLO high, single or double. Yeah, 5-card PLO high, double.
Yeah. 5-card PLO high, double.
That is kind of the list that they had on the press release of newer events this summer. There are actually some that we noticed when we looked through that are missing, right? Foremost among them for me was the $1,979 buy-in Poker Hall of Fame bounty.
It was a horrendous event. The worst event on the schedule by so many magnitudes. So great on them for canceling that, in my opinion. What were you going to say?
I mean, I liked it in terms of that's when they announced who the Hall of Fame inductee was going to be. I liked that they put in all the Poker Hall of Fame members and that there was a bounty on their head. So you got to see people like, 1986 main event champ Barry Johnston, who's now in his 90s, was showing up for this one, competing against the likes of, now Nick Schulman in the Poker Hall. And so this blend of things, but as Ben and I mentioned off air, one of the issues was not every table had a bounty, right? And so it was kind of this hodgepodge of players sprinkled throughout.
Because I don't think you needed that event to create hype. I mean, it is cool that you name a Hall of Famer and then they get to play the next day kind of, or you see some of the old players. But I think, they have the Hall of Fame in mind for sure for something. So I think they'll find a better way to celebrate the announcement or kind of highlight the Hall of Fame.
We'll talk about that here in a moment. I do want to point out 2 other areas on the schedule that I thought were interesting. The seniors events. There is a senior high roller $500 or $5,000 buy-in on June 12th, and then just a few days later,
David Baker and
Yeah, right.
Invitational.
The ODB. June 15th, a few days later, will be the $1,000 Seniors Championship as well, 50 years or older. I do not see on the schedule the event they had last year where they had the Battle of the Ages, right, where the older folks played in one flight, the younger folks in another, and then they combined. Looks like that is off the schedule this year. And then there is an interesting week in the middle of the series, June 23rd through the 30th. That week, I think, is going to be a very popular time frame because you have the Mystery Millions, the $1,000 buy-in, right? The Mystery Millions we're used to, where it's guaranteed $1 million to first, a top bounty $1 million guaranteed, and you have, I think, 6 starting flights for that. And then in between that week, as that's taking place, you have the tag team event, you have the ladies championship, which is always very popular, and then you have the start at the end of the mini main event, which is another $1,000 buy-in. So it's just one of those where there's a lot of $1,000 buy-ins that will appeal to a lot of different players that they can get in on. And then on the flip side of that, at the end of it on June 30th, I was happy to see the 100K buy-in high roller PLO event return to the schedule. So, I mean, you can only do 2-person teams in that tag team event. So, boys, if we're going to put in a PokerNews podcast team, one of us is going to be the odd man out.
Well, I guess we'll have to fight.
I say whoever's got WSOP Gold should be on the team.
All right, I'll go fuck myself.
No.
All right, Adam, you and your teaming up.
You have circle ring or no? You can borrow one. We all have a
We'll figure it out when the time comes.
I don't want to be on your guys' team. You guys are too, you're too old school. I'm more of a new school, bracelets.
Yeah.
Rings. Look.
Well, unfortunately for you guys, Dave Oppenheim and I have had a partnership outside and on the felt, so I might have to play with Oppenheim. But Chad, I don't know. I'll play with you guys. I don't know.
Wow, did you hear that, Op? He just dropped you in 2 seconds.
Here's the thing. I need Op to be making money for Daddy doing other stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see.
Other tournaments,
he's on the payroll.
Let's see. What I did with Op last year, I never played a hand.
Well,
we didn't do good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
Let's talk about the main event. That is the event that everybody wants to hear about. $10,000 buy-in. It did not go up to $15,000 buy-in like you speculated, Ben.
Well, I didn't think it was going to be this year, but all right, fair enough. I did.
It is going to kick off on July 2nd with Day 1A. $10,000 buy-in, $60,000 in chips, 2-hour levels. Late reg says 7 levels, so that'll be into Day 2 like in the past. Everything should be normal in that regard. It looks like there will be 4 starting flights. One, July 2nd, July 3rd, July 4th, July 5th. And then you will play down, if you're lucky enough, to, it looks like July 13th, a Monday. It says plays down to 9 players. Now, here's where it gets interesting because that's all the information we have. There is no final table details. It says to be determined. The press release does say that more information will be revealed in the future. But putting on my speculation cap, if you will, it is interesting that the day after the final table is set is when this new WSOP circuit is going to take place at the Horseshoe, July 14th through the 25th. This is brand new, the first time they're ever going to do this. It will ensure, as they say in the press release, ensure the action in Las Vegas never slows down. The full schedule for that is also out. You can check that out on PokerNews.com. But it makes me wonder, something we talked about with Jeff Platt a little bit was it's not going to be on November 9 per se, right? That sort of huge month-long break, but is it possible that we're going to see at least a little bit of a break and some sort of build-up to the main event final table, which I think would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they should. I think if you scroll down for me over there, Benjamin, the circuit starts on the 14th, ends on the 25th, so 11 days. And then, I mean, I don't know. It certainly seems like if I'm the WSOP and I want to keep things going, maybe I keep a little, 2 weeks later, all of a sudden, the final table's going to be here, stay around Vegas, get to see that, get to play the circuit. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about how to build storylines, to give players a break, to get coaching, all of the above. The November 9 was great. You give people a break You allow sponsorships to happen, all of the above, even if it's a shorter break, even if it's something like it ends on the day the circuit starts, and then as soon as the day the circuit ends, they play in the final table or something. We're just speculating. That's a huge. I mean, obviously, anyone who makes the final table can figure out how to get back 2 weeks later or stay in Vegas, whatever it is. Like, you're playing for millions of dollars, your job can wait. But I love it. I think something like that's needed. I just can't imagine, playing for 10 days. I mean, I've made, a few day fours in my life and that's it. But I can't imagine playing like 8 days and then, having 1 day off or having no days off and then playing again. It's crazy. I wouldn't be able to play my best. I wouldn't be able to feel fully prepared. So even if it's a short break, like 2 weeks, a month, whatever it is, 1 week, I think that's a great addition, and that's what I assume will happen. So I think that's a great move. I am interested to see how the circuit goes. I mean, it's a bunch of small buy-ins at the end, obviously with a 1,700 main event as usual, and then they've got the 3,300 high roller. I always worry a little bit that you just made everyone put their bankrolls down for 6 weeks, and now you've got another circuit where people are going to continue, but people want more events. People want to play smaller stuff too. Maybe this is a perfect opportunity for a grinder who didn't have a great summer after to kind of hop in the circuit and win a few rings, or for someone who is, one of their buddies made the main event final table. All right, let's go play some circuit events and then watch the FT kind of thing. So I'm not sure how the circuit will do. I think it's a good move and we'll see how it goes. But how it all fits into the main event makes a ton of sense. And I think it would be weird to kind of have 2 weeks or something like that with nothing happening and then play the main, the FT, because then things die down a little bit and the buzzes die down a little bit. That's kind of what I love about the World Series, is that it's a slow build to the end, and then by the very end you still have events going on, but it's like everyone's focused on the main event. Right. FT, like the buzz is there. So I think this is a great way to kind of keep the buzz.
It does
going.
say in the press release that play will proceed until the final table is reached on July 13th, with specifics on the main event final table, play dates, and broadcast coverage to be announced at a later date. So we will get more details. It also says in there, in regards to the live stream, it says the daily broadcast will showcase the new and improved TV set in Paris, Las Vegas, and feature some of the game's most recognizable commentators. 2 things on that, right? If you're doing a daily live stream and you need some commentators, there's 3 guys right here that do a lot of talking. So, Jeff Platt and...
Yeah, we're available at any point, to do any sort of commentary, anything like that. You know what I mean? Just let us know,
Sorry, Mike is the crack off.
That was
before it was something, so this is why he's...
Hey, this is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? World Series of Poker schedule release.
That's Prison Mike. We've talked about Prison Mike many times on this show. It is interesting, though, to note the mothership, as we've called it, is not going to be in the Horseshoe Ballroom anymore. It's going to be over in Paris, which is an absolutely massive room. And I've heard, and we'll share a clip with Jeff Platt here in a minute in which he talks a little bit about it, but there is a brand new set. If you've been at WSOP Paradise, which I know you have been, you've seen the set there and how it differs from the summer WSOP set that we're used to. And rumor is that it's going to be more akin to the Paradise set, but even bigger. And that set is already massive.
I mean, the set in Paradise was enormous and beautiful, and they say it's going to be like 3 times that size. So I don't even comprehend how that works in the space. It's probably just that entire Paris Ballroom wall, one of the long walls, is just going to be all set, which is crazy. But I mean, like you said, they're doing daily live streams. They're going to stream all these events. They need a lot of commentators. So I guess you need 2-3 table setups, and then you could have infinite feature tables during the main event or whatever. You might be able to have 8 feature tables with full cards or something. So I'm excited to see how that all fits in.
Well, one thing too that we talked about with Jeff Platt was the live player experience. And if you've ever been to the World Series of Poker in person, you see the final table set up, and yes, you can watch, but it's not the most exciting thing at times. Jeff understands this, he's there. So we talked a little bit about that live player experience with him and the new main stage area that is coming this summer. Check it out.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about that I know you're passionate about is live viewership.
Yeah.
Because I know, we've been friends for a long time. We've always talked about it, where we've gone to final tables at the World Series in Vegas, and it's like, like 3 people here. There's no excitement. And I just like my earlier memories of poker before I was like fully engrossed in the world and living in Vegas were, these rowdy final tables. I mean, the first summer I ever was in poker, I was working for Chad at Poker News, was 2010. It may have been the year before, or the year after that this happened, but I will never forget the $25K heads up that Jay Cody won, where it was like, I've never been to a more electric sporting event in my life. That was fucking crazy. So tell me like a little bit about thoughts in terms of just like live viewership. Because like we need to bring that back. There's no reason. We have so much foot traffic on the strip now. Like that was at the damn Rio where it was hundreds of people watching. So.
Right. I feel like we have effectively 2 types of viewers. We have those via the live stream and those live in person. And you might think of them as different entities, but they actually connect, because if you had that Jake Cody event on TV, that translates to a better product for our viewers at home. So it's fair to initially be like, well, that rail's only going to help like 90 people, whatever. We have to make the best setup for our hopefully hundreds of thousands or millions or whatever viewers at home. But we want to now, again, goes back to this connecting the dots, because if the experience live is good, that's going to really come across on camera. It's going to make a better product. It's going to make a better show. So they've certainly heard my concerns over the years as far as...
I've read some emails you've sent over the last 5 to 10 years.
I sent some long emails. But I think we're really aligned. I think Ty Stewart, the CEO now of the World Series of Poker, has always been aligned with this and trying to find ways to do it. And the stage setup this year will be unlike anything else.
Good.
Yeah.
And it will also have the capability, the space for not just people to be there. The actual space thing was never really an issue. You could fit in enough people. But for people to at least know what's going on. Yeah. And sure, we know like it's a little more boring without the whole cards, right? Without access to seeing what... But if you're at least aware of when a big pot is being played, when there's an all-in and a call, and you don't have to be like, who has what, all of that kind of stuff. Again, it's going to be a work in progress, but it is top on our minds for sure, that live viewership, because that is really, really important to us.
All right, we are back to wrap this thing up. We've been talking about the schedule. You can, of course, check that out on PokerNews.com. All 100 events, there's details there. Poker News is going to be at the World Series of Poker. I will be out there that summer. We're going to be doing some podcasting. I don't know the exact details. We got to figure it out, because that's one of the reasons people are so excited about the schedule, is it allows us to start planning and mapping things out. It allows the other properties throughout Vegas, the Winds, the Venetians, the Orleans, the Golden Nuggets, every single property waits for the schedule so that they can start devising their schedules as well. So I don't know, it's definitely exciting. Are you the type of guys who are going to sit down and draw out your plans, like, oh, I'm going to play this event and start mapping it out? Or Mike, are you just like, I'm going to get up and roll out of bed and see what I want to play today? Yeah, that's what I figured.
I was going to say, I think you nailed both of us, and you nailed the we have different approaches. I'm such a big, like, I'm going to make my own Excel sheet, plan everything out, do a big schedule, and then, of course, deviate every single day, because that's what I do. I'm like, I'm going to play this, and then I show up, I'm like, nah, I want to play stud today. But no, I'm most excited. I'm gonna have a big PLO summer. I think that's what I'm most excited about. That game is growing. That's one of my It's probably my favorite to play in the tournament format. So that's to see that's continuing to be a priority is huge, and I'm pumped, because if I could go play more PLO than No Limit every day, I'd be very happy.
The WSOP Player of the Year will be back. This has already been announced that it's actually going to start at the WSOP Europe, which is taking place in Prague this year. So that'll be the start of the Player of the Year race. That stop is March 31st through April 12th. And then the POY will continue through the summer and then into WSOP Paradise at the end of the year. There is $1 million POY prize pool with a $100K WSOP Paradise package going to the winners. So should be an interesting Player of the Year race. Some other info that you might want to know, and you could get started now, is you're going to need the WSOP Plus app. Those of us who were there last year already have it. The good news is you are already verified. So unless your personal information has changed or a new payment method, you want to use a new payment method, you do not have to go and get your identity verified again. So that I think is great in terms of registration and will make things simple. You can also start qualifying via satellites on GG Poker or WSOP.com. I know there was a quote in the press release from Daniel Negreanu that says GG's GG Poker's WSOP Express satellites allow enthusiasts all over the world to follow in the footsteps of their heroes, whether you are an international player qualifying via GG or a domestic U.S. player winning your seat via WSOP Online. We want to see you taking your shot at the gold in 2026. So I don't play a lot of online, Mike. I know that you do, but there'll be certainly a lot of online qualifiers making their way to the 2026 WSOP. And that will lead me to my final question for you guys is, what are you most excited about this summer? Whether that is a specific event, whether that is something you might be planning to do this summer. I'll start to give you a moment to think about it. My goal is, and then we'll see if we can get there, but my goal is, we're on episode 939 of the PokerNews Podcast. We are 61 episodes away from that 1,000 milestone. And I would love to be able to celebrate that milestone during the 2026 WSOP. Now, obviously, if we're doing one episode a week, we're not going to get there. But I'm hoping to do some special episodes between now and then, maybe some live event episodes between now and then a bunch of episodes during the 2026 WSOP, so that towards the end, maybe main event time, that magic 1,000 number could hit. But we'll have to wait and see. That's just one of my goals and things I'm looking forward to. What about you guys?
Sounds like we're going to be busy.
Yes.
Sounds like
Podcast on dinner break.
podcast. Yeah, that's works for me. I already spoiled it, but I'm excited to play a lot of PLO. I'm excited to podcast. I'm hoping to do some content. I just am excited to be around it and not just play and see all of the opportunities that are out there. I mean, I just think in this era of there's going to be more broadcasted poker than ever, this summer. I think that creates a lot of opportunities for all of us who are, not just players, but kind of in the industry and on the media side things. So I think there's going to be a lot of fun stuff to do, a lot of fun people to work with. And I'm excited to see if we can do 60 episodes between now and the main event. But obviously the main event too. I mean, it's different than everything. Will always be different than everything. That's the only thing that I'm most excited for, probably.
Mike, what about you?
I don't get excited anymore.
This show has just killed your spirit.
I really zen. I've gotten zen at this point. I really just don't. I don't have emotions. No, there's no more emotions. No. What am I most excited for? Pitching Jeff Platt on that idea with the thing. I'd like to commentate. That'd be really cool. Hopefully I get a chance to commentate something again. That was awesome. I'm just excited to play, excited for the World Series to be in town. There's always a different energy during the summer. It's summer camp. It feels great. You get to see all your friends, all the professionals. It's just a great time. I miss that when it leaves every year, and I am excited for it to happen again. So
we will be back on Thursday with a usual episode, 8 a.m. Pacific time, where we'll cover everything in the poker sphere. Of course, there'll be more WSOP talk as players react to this schedule. But all in all, gentlemen, I think it was a good-looking schedule, 100 gold bracelet events, some changes, positive changes coming, and it should be a lot of fun over the next few months here leading up to the 2026 WSOP.